James's Action 52 review was a review that many of us were waiting for, and it was a great two-part review that he managed to put together. However, I have to admit, as detailed as he was on the NES version, he really didn't elaborate too much on the Genesis version. But in all honesty, after doing all 52 games on the NES, I'm pretty sure he was burnt out by the time he got to the Genesis version. So for this AVGN Retrospective, I'm going to be doing a review for the Sega Genesis version of Action 52, and much like James's NES review, I'll be playing all 52 games to see what they're like. To the game's credit, the Action 52 title screen is cool and has some great music. However, it's cool the first time viewing it. Unlike the NES version, when you exit a game, it doesn't take you straight to the game list. You have to endure this title screen every time you exit a game. Okay, number 1 is Bakker. You're a colored dot that's bouncing around and erasing a huge multicolored square that is covering a picture. The color of the dot tells you what color you're able to erase, and there are color palettes in the corners to help you switch colors. And you can also hit keys that are in the corner too, because sometimes it's not just a color you need to erase, it's something that you need to unlock. You control the dot with the D-pad. This game is simple and it's boring. Next game. Game 2 is Dark Sign, a space shooter where you have to kill all of the enemies that are placed on the walls around you. You have to kill them and avoid their fire. You can't touch anything, even the walls, or else you die. Anyone who can get past level 1 deserves a medal. Game 3 is Dino Tennis, a two-player game where you play two dinosaurs playing tennis with a caveman as the ball. It's fun to look at, but it's not fun to play. Game 4, Ooze. You play a character that apparently has to collect keys. I don't know, I didn't make it past the first screen because if you jump from too great a height, you die, and there are platforms that give you the false impression that you can walk on them, and sure enough, you fall right through. Yeah, that makes me want to play the game longer. Next game. Number 5, Starball. It's pinball pretty much, except they threw in a couple things that can kill you. You control the left flipper with left on the D-pad and the right flipper with the C button. That's about it. Not a bad game, but not really that original. Number 6, Sidewinder. It's a flying game and you have to avoid the missiles or whatever it is that's being shot at you. With this game, you're better off just flying away from the missiles. The game doesn't say that you can't do that, and that's really your only option because the shooting is complete crap. That's really all I can say about this game, so next. Number 7, Daytona. That's a false title because if this were Daytona, they'd be moving a hell of a lot faster than this. The controls suck, the turns take an eternity, and they don't even try to make the car look the least bit fluent in movement. Enough said, next game. Number 8, 15 Puzzle. It's a puzzle game where you have to put the numbers back in order. Well, that's boring. Next. Number 9, Sketch. You're drawing with the D-pad. There's no strategy and no point for the game's existence. Next game. Number 10, Star Duel. And that's pretty much all it is. It's a two-player game where you just shoot at the other player until one of you lose. That's all I can say. Next game. Number 11, Haunted Hill. To the developer's credit, the game at least looks okay. It's a side-scroller where I assume you have to get to the end of each level somehow. The only reason why I assume that is because I couldn't get 2 minutes into the damn game. It's one-hit kills and your only attack is with the torch that you carry around. You can't duck or block. How wonderful. Let's move on. Number 12, Alfredo. You're catching food that's flying out of a pot. You can catch every food except for what looks like meatballs and tomatoes. That's all well and good, but the game moves so fast that you'll always forget that you can't catch them. But all in all, it's fun for the first couple of tries, but doesn't offer enough to add much replay value. Number 13, Cheetamen. Since James went into such great detail on this particular game, I won't say much, but I will say this. The controls suck ass, it's too hard getting onto vines, and the attacks are really lame. All they do is throw a weird punch, and again, it's one-hit kills. No life bar, no ducking or blocking, nothing at all. Also, to the NES version's credit, the music was at least tolerable, but the Genesis version's music is hell on your ears. Next game. Number 14, Skirmish. I don't know, it's some two-player game. I guess you're playing two armies and you have to slowly make your way towards each other. I don't know, the game was too boring for me to play for more than 2 minutes. Number 15, Depth Charge. You're a ship shooting down submarines. Hit them once and they're done. However, the same can be said for you. Get hit once and you're done. Good lord, could they at least put a health bar? Is that too much to ask? Number 16, Mind's Eye, an even more boring version of Minesweeper. I have no other way of describing this. Next game. Number 17, Alien Attack. Well, it fits the title. You're shooting aliens. Sounds simple enough until you get to level 2. One of the aliens blends in so well with the background that you can't even tell he's there until he kills you. Next. Number 18, Billy Bob. Well, it starts off pretty simple until, again, you get to level 2 and they pile on the enemies in such large numbers that you can't even keep up, and from how stiffly Billy Bob controls, even practicing won't cause you to get any better at it. Number 19, Sharks. You're swimming underwater shooting sharks. Pretty simple stuff, just keep shooting at the sharks and you'll never lose. Number 20, Knockout. A 2-player boxing game where all you do is punch until the other one loses. That's about it, just keep punching. Number 21, Intruder. It's a maze. Great. You shoot your enemies and you can't touch the walls around you or else you die. What a great form of torture, because some of the paths are so small that you're lucky if you can manage to walk through them without touching the walls. I can deal with shooting enemies, but why make the walls an obstacle? Next game. Number 22, Echo. It's the game Simon, pretty much, and it's boring as hell. There's no music, and it moves way too slow. Next. Number 23, Freeway. You're a dog who's avoiding traffic while crossing the street. That's about it. Gee, the depth of the gameplay is just stunning! Number 24, Mousetrap. You're a mouse collecting all of the cheese in the level while trying to avoid all of the cats that are out to get you. Naturally, with each level, more cats appear. It's pretty easy, but compared to most of the games we've played so far, it's not bad. I actually managed to play this one for quite a while. Next game. Number 25, Ninja. You're a ninja trying to get to the end of each level. For the most part, just keep running right and you'll make it to the end. The enemies don't even try to hurt you if you just run right by them. The only time you have to kill them is when they throw stuff at you. It's easy and it's boring. Next game. Number 26, Slalom. It's downhill skiing, which looks similar to the skiing game on Winter Games for the Atari 2600. All you have to do is avoid the trees. Sounds simple, and for the first couple of levels it is, but the trees then come in such large quantities that avoiding them becomes impossible. Quite frustrating. Next game. Number 27, Dauntless. How do you like this design? I can barely see the plane. You're a plane shooting down enemy planes. That's all well and good, but why are there so many damn clouds? I can't see shit! God, next game. Number 28, Force 1. Space shooter, just keep shooting your enemies, and for the most part, you can't lose. However, they have to add some frustration to this experience, and it has to do with that little red ship flying around. I can't hit it, but it can hit me, and sure enough, when it does, I die. What a great way to ruin a space shooter. Next game. Number 29, Spidey. Same concept as Mousetrap, but instead with this game, you're a spider collecting all of the moss, and you have to avoid the other bugs because naturally, if they hit you, you die. While it is the same gameplay as Mousetrap, it's not as addicting. Number 30, Appleseed. You're a guy catching apples. Catch all the red ones, but avoid the green ones. Why avoid the green ones? Because the developers like to piss people off even with the simplest games. Next game. Number 31, Skater. It's a side-scroller where you play a skater and you have to avoid everything except for what looks like a cement block that you can collect. What does that item do? I have no clue, and at this point, are we really expecting this game to elaborate? You avoid the objects by either jumping over them or skating around them. It's boring. Next game. Number 32, Sunday Drive. You're driving up a highway avoiding the other cars. It's similar to the driving stage seen in Ghostbusters, and guess what? It's just as annoying. Next. Number 33, Star Evil. Another space shooter, once again shooting and avoiding enemies, trying to get to the end of the level. You have to avoid the walls or else you die. However, with this game, it can be deceiving because at first I thought I had to avoid the blue cranes, but you can actually fly right through them. It's pretty simple. Next game. Number 34, Air Command. Not much to say, it's the exact same thing as the space shooters, except with a plane. How creative. Next. Number 35, Shootout. Shoot every item that appears on the screen without running out of bullets. It's impossible to aim, it's more of a timing-based shooting game. The first level I managed to shoot everything without running out of bullets, but once I got to the second level, it was impossible. How fun. Next game. Number 36, Bombs Away. Just avoid all of the bombs. That's about it. For the most part, if you just keep running right, you're fine, but there's an occasional bomb that you have to slow down for. Number 37, Speedboat. You're controlling a speedboat and you have to avoid everything in order to get to the end of the level. I didn't even get past the first level because they put way too many obstacles way too early. Number 38, Dead Ants. You're an ant killing other bugs, however there are spiders that appear as the game progresses that you can't hit or kill, but if they touch you, you're dead. When there's just a couple of them, they're easy to avoid, but when they pile up, it's impossible and you'll never get past the level. Number 39, G-Fighter. Another space shooter. Just shoot and avoid your enemies. It's a classic concept, but for Action 52, it's getting old. Number 40, Man-at-Arms. You're guarding a castle and you're shooting arrows at various enemies that approach it. It's very boring. Next game. Number 41, Norman. You're a tank and you shoot everything in your way, but you can't touch anything or you'll die. Wonderful. Next. Number 42, Armor Battle. Another 2-player shootout. Just keep shooting until one of the players is defeated. That's it. Next game. Number 43, Magic Bean. Climbing up a beanstalk, trying to avoid objects that are trying to kill you. Good lord, next game. Number 44, Apache. Now you're a helicopter shooting enemies and avoiding obstacles. However, this time they managed to add what looks like gray rocks that you also have to avoid. This concept got stale several games ago. Number 45, Paratrooper. Collect all of the items and avoid the obstacles. It's boring. Next. Number 46, Sky Avenger. You're a helicopter shooting at enemies, this time from a side-scroller perspective. Oh, good lord, they're not even trying to make these games any different. Number 47, Sharpshooter. Shoot at the enemies until they're all gone. Wow, so creative. Next game. Number 48, Meteor. It's a space shooter. Pass. Number 49, Black Hole. It's another space shooter with the most nauseating background I've ever seen. Number 50, The Boss. You're climbing and walking on fire escapes on what looks to be a building, shooting at all of the enemies that appear. I didn't get very far in this game because it's tough getting off the ladders. The times that I didn't want to get off the ladders, I did, and the times that I desperately needed to because of an oncoming enemy, I couldn't get off. Next game, good lord, next game. Number 51, first game. As we all know, it's Pong. It's unoriginal, and sadly, it's the best game on Action 52. How sad is that? And 52 is just a run-through of the toughest levels in Action 52, so there's really no point on discussing that. So that's Action 52 for the Sega Genesis, and it is easily one of the worst games I've ever played. Yes, there are a couple decent games, but saying that there's only a couple out of 52 games is really bad. Well, everyone, that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.